Wind, sharp and cold, sliced through the night. Trees groaned, their bare branches scratching the sky. The Ohio River flowed black and deep, reflecting the icy stars. On its banks, a figure moved, desperate and afraid.
This was Margret Garner, a young mother fleeing the only life she'd ever known. Slavery had been her reality, her family torn apart by its cruelty. But tonight, she dared to hope. Tonight, she ran for freedom.
Born into bondage, Margret had known nothing but the harsh realities of plantation life. From the moment she could walk, she was put to work in the fields, her small hands picking cotton under the relentless sun. The overseer's whip cracked through the air, a constant reminder of the consequences of slowing down. The days were long, the nights short, and rest was a luxury she rarely experienced. Labor from sunrise to sunset, the sting of the lash, the constant fear that clung to her like a shroud. The overseers were merciless, their eyes always watching, their hands quick to punish. Margret learned to keep her head down, to avoid drawing attention, but the fear was always there, lurking in the back of her mind. It was a life of survival, of enduring one day to face the next. She had endured. Marriage to Robert, himself enslaved, had brought a flicker of light into her world. Robert was strong, kind, and his presence gave her a sense of hope she had never known. Together they dreamed of a life beyond the chains, a life where their children could be free. Their love was a quiet rebellion, a defiance against the world that sought to break them. Their children, born into chains, were her everything. Each child was a beacon of hope, a reason to keep fighting. Margret's heart swelled with love and fear for them. She taught them to be cautious, to be strong, to hold on to hope, even in the darkest times. Every smile, every laugh was a victory against the oppression that sought to crush their spirits. And it was for them, their futures, that she risked everything on this freezing night. The air was cold, biting at her skin, but the thought of freedom warmed her heart. She clutched her children close, whispering promises of a better life. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but Margret was determined. She would face any peril, endure any hardship, to see her children free. This night, under the cover of darkness, she took the first steps towards a new dawn. The slave catchers were close. Their hounds bayed, their voices echoed through the trees. Margret, clutching her children, felt her heart pound against her ribs. There was nowhere left to run.
The icy water beckoned. A desperate gamble. A mother's love pushed to the brink. She kissed her children, tears freezing on her cheeks, and made a choice no mother should ever have to make.
The courtroom was thick with tension. Margret's case had become a national sensation, a lightning rod in a nation already divided. Abolitionists rallied to her defense, their voices ringing out for justice.
"She is a mother," they cried. "She acted out of love, not malice."
But the prosecution was relentless, painting her as a criminal, her actions a threat to the very fabric of society. The arguments raged on, each side entrenched in their beliefs. Was Margret Garner a woman fighting for her children's freedom, or a criminal who deserved punishment? The courtroom became a microcosm of America itself, fractured and conflicted. The jury, torn between law and conscience, deliberated for days. Their verdict, when it finally came, would send shockwaves through the nation, exposing the raw wounds that ran deep within its soul. Margret Garner's story is not just a tale of the past. It is a haunting reminder of the brutal realities faced by countless individuals during one of the darkest periods in American history. Born into the shackles of slavery, Margret's life was a constant struggle for freedom and dignity. Her desperate act of defiance, choosing to end her child's life rather than see her return to bondage, speaks volumes about the unimaginable horrors of slavery. This act, while tragic, was a powerful statement against the inhumanity of the system that enslaved her. It is a reflection of the ongoing struggle for equality and justice that continues to this day. The echoes of Margret's defiance can be heard in the chants of modern-day activists who march for racial equality, justice, and the end of systemic oppression. These protests are not just about the past, they are about the present and the future. They are about ensuring that the sacrifices of those who came before us were not in vain. Her fight reminds us of the systemic racism and oppression that still plague our society. The images of segregation from the past, juxtaposed with today's protests against racism, highlight the progress we have made and the work that still needs to be done. Margret's story is a stark reminder that the fight for justice is far from over. It is a call to action for each of us to stand up against injustice in all its forms. Her story is a call to action, a reminder that we must never forget the past and must continue to fight for a better future for all. The blending of historical and modern protest photos serves as a visual testament to the enduring spirit of resistance. It is a reminder that the fight for justice is a continuous journey, one that requires vigilance, courage, and unwavering commitment. A future where no mother is ever forced to make such an impossible choice. A future where every child can grow up in a world free from the chains of oppression and discrimination. Margret Garner's story is a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. It is a call to each of us to do our part in building a world where justice, equality, and freedom are not just ideals, but realities for all.
In the face of oppressive breeding practices during slavery, resistance took many forms, embodying the resilience of those who refused to be reduced to mere property. Men and women stripped of autonomy often sought subtle yet powerful ways to assert agency. Acts of defiance included forming illicit networks to escape, sabotaging reproductive expectations, and maintaining familial bonds despite the constant threat of separation. Some enslaved individuals ingeniously used herbal knowledge to prevent pregnancies, undermining the economic motivations behind forced reproduction. This resilience was not only about personal freedom, but safeguarding future generations from being commodified. Women enduring the dual burden of forced reproduction and labor often found ways to communicate coded messages, warning others of looming dangers. Men facing emasculation and exploitation would sometimes resist by refusing to comply with breeding expectations, risking brutal repercussions. The courage of enslaved communities also found expression in revolts, where collective uprisings challenged the very structures that sought to dehumanize them. These acts of resistance were seeds for future civil rights movements, laying a foundation for ongoing struggles for justice and equality. The legacy of their defiance echoes in contemporary dialogues on human rights, reminding us of the enduring power of resistance. Please support this channel to bring these historical stories by subscribing, push the like button and notifications. Thank you. See you next time.